Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Feisty Aphrodite. I am your host, Dr. Teralyn, and I'm here with your other host, soon to be Dr. Jessica. And we are talking about all things sex and relationships. And today is a hot topic because it is when sex feels like a chore.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that louder for the people in the back. When sex feels like a chore, yo.
Oh, does that activate something for you?
Hey, it has. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, it sure
Oh, wow.
has. I
Yeah.
mean, when you have, I mean, I have 3 kids. So when your stress levels are so high,
Mm-hmm.
sex can feel like just
Right.
one more thing that you have to do or give to somebody else when you literally have nothing to give yourself.
Exactly. I think that was the definition of my very brief marriage.
Well, well,
Yeah.
that could define a portion of my marriage at some points too.
Right.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, mine was probably a sexless marriage, and it was definitely something that I didn't really want to participate in. So it was like at the bottom of the chore list. Like I
Yeah.
would have rather done fucking laundry than to have sex with this person. But for me, it was relational issues. That's a whole other podcast. But if it's feeling like like, oh, I would rather do anything else than to have to do that with my partner, then it's really a problem. But the most Googled phrase when it comes to sex was sex feels like a chore.
Really?
Yes.
That's
Mm-hmm.
interesting. I mean, I've been there. I mean, I totally get it when people say this. And, it's funny because, we're both on TikTok. And so find us on TikTok, everybody.
Right.
Somebody had written under one of my posts, but all I need is help with chores. If only they would help with chores, then I would feel more like having sex. And I'm like, damn it, I wish it were that easy. But it really isn't, because I look at, if you feel so drained and you feel so out of sorts, like you're an empty cup, like you have nothing more to give, really it's probably about your stress hormones and your sex hormones. And I say this to people all the time. Cortisol is your stress hormone, and if you're depleted in cortisol, it steals from your sex hormones to pay the price.
Mm-hmm.
So then what happens? Now your sex hormones are suffering, which makes you feel fatigued,
Right.
low sex drive, all that stuff. And people want to unwind that by getting more help with the laundry.
Mm-hmm.
That unfortunately, that's like taking an external stress and getting it off your stress plate, right?
Right.
Versus like handling your internal stress response. Two different things,
Right.
you
And
know?
stop being a martyr over the shit around the house. Like, allow for your partner to do it in their way and to
Ah,
handle those things. Because I think that some people actually are subconsciously creating barriers to not being intimate. And it's like, I have to do all this, I have to do all of this. Like, that's the last thing on my mind. Well, hand it off. Hire someone, hand that off. Stop putting on the brakes and really work on that sort of stuff, because you're just going to end up creating another thing on the list as to why you can't show up within the bedroom.
sexually.
Yeah.
It's interesting because if you go back to dating again, so whenever you're starting a new relationship, you will do all the things. You will go to work, you will get all your chores done or not. You'll leave them because it doesn't matter anymore, that your laundry is not folded because you've got somebody to see. Like
Yeah.
you're so interested in doing that. You'll stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, you'll wake up at 6, you'll be sleep deprived, you'll be doing all these things, but you'll be excited and
Mm-hmm.
you'll want to see that person. You never during those times are you like, no, I've just got too much to do to
Mm-hmm.
do this. Like you're like, I don't care about that anymore because I care about doing you, and instead. So I wonder when that switches, if
Yeah. Yeah. I think that many people are, um, you know, really what we create space for expands. So when you're dating, you're creating space for that connection.
Say that again. What does that mean? Whatever we create space for expands. Say
Yeah,
that.
notice how it, like on a simple level, if we gave ourselves a week to do a task, our brain would take that whole week and kind of like slowly work on it. If we created a sense of urgency and we're like, I need to get that la 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 up this Sunday, you know, then the brain is like, let's get it done. But basically, the amount of time that we mentally give ourselves for something, we end up taking. And
It's true.
so if we tell ourselves, I have to get the house clean, it's going to take me all week. Imagine that. It took all fucking week.
Well, it's when you say that, I think about like preparing for people to come over. I usually tell myself, oh, they're coming, we have people coming over in a week or whatever. And I will legitimately be up the night before scrubbing baseboards or some shit like that, you know, not doing anything the whole week, just waiting until, and then the pressure is on, you know, to do that. So I think we do. I like that. I have to remember that little saying.
Yeah, well, we create, you know, like that's why people schedule sex, is because if you leave it off of kind of this awareness that you have to make space for it, it doesn't happen. Like the busyness of life gets in the way. Scheduling sex doesn't sound all that romantic, but it doesn't have to be like, oh, you've got an appointment with the
D tonight. You got the D appointment.
You got the, yeah. Well, I have seen people text, you got a dick appointment, which is funny. But it really is about, you know, you have to create space for intimacy within a relationship, especially a long-term relationship, that you have to continue to create space for that. Otherwise, the chores, everything, the busyness, and honestly, come on, people, those things are really not that important. The laundry, not that important.
Listen, every week.
I a piece of guacamole on this ugly sweater I'm wearing. Honestly, like I can, you know, like it really isn't.
Well, we make space for the things in our life that we find to be important. And if you find that
when we deny ourselves pleasure, you know what we do? We create space for the things that really aren't pleasurable, and we make them important.
Say that again for the people in the back.
Yeah, we create space for what we find pleasurable, what we find important. So
and so if we don't create space for things that are pleasurable, then we create space for things that are not pleasurable. Like doing the laundry and the dishes.
I know people are like, no, that's not true. I do have to do everything. Honey, my house looks like a pigsty. And when you have friends over, visitors over, they're here to see you. They're not here to see your baseboards. And if they've got a white glove and they're looking at your baseboards, tell them to fuck off.
Right.
You're living. You know, I travel the world, and I think that, you know, I talk to people of so many other cultures. In the US, it's about the GDPR, you know, like how much are you producing? How much are you buying? We're a consumerism society. And we have bought into this lifestyle of working, you know, chores, instead of like living our lives. So I think that chores play into that. The more that we have this idea that our place has to be a certain way, we have to do all these things, you're creating space for your misery. And I wonder why.
Because that's a never-ending chore list. Exactly. Like it, you know, it's kind of like spinning plates, right? So if you're spinning all these plates and keeping all these plates going, one plate drops off, you just stick another one on there.
Right.
You know, it never ends. There's always going to be laundry. There's always going to be dirty dishes. There's always going to be, because that's what we do. You know, we use these things, we wash these things, we use these things, we wash that thing, you know, like it's always going to be there. It would be different if it was a one-time task that you're like, no, I need to get this task done, but it's perpetual. And we put those perpetual tasks in front of our own pleasure all the damn time, you know? And I've gone for years without having someone to clean my house. And then I get someone to clean my house for a few years and then I don't for whatever reason, but I'm back in the somebody's cleaning my house mode right now. Oh my God, it feels so good. It feels, even if you can't afford it to do it like monthly,
Right.
just do it a couple times a year for a deep clean. You'll feel great,
Yeah.
and I look at it like we spend our money on stupid shit all the time. That would is so relieving.
I
It's
want to
so
tell you
relieving.
a big figure. Do you know how much money we spend on cosmetics and shit for our
Annually,
beauty? Yeah, no, in your
like
lifetime.
per person, like
Per,
one person.
yeah,
I have no idea. Like when you say cosmetics, what do you mean? Makeup or any
makeup, like
skincare or anything?
face cream, like all that sort of
Sure.
stuff.
How
Yeah,
much? How
two
much?
hundred thousand dollars in your lifetime is what you spend on
That could
makeup.
be in my retirement account.
You guys could, you're gonna look a lot better if you take that shit off your list.
No kidding. Your stress level. Use it for that instead of covering it all up with makeup.
Those $10 things, they rack up.
Mm-hmm.
So,
They
I
do.
know so many people tell me I can't afford it. And I say, let's think about that in a different way. What are you giving up that, if you didn't spend so much money on cosmetics and you paid for a cleaner, you would
Mm-hmm.
look more well rested.
Not to mention, like when I hear like I can't afford it, and what we're really talking about is stress taking the place of sex. Really, that's what we're talking about. And so your relationship might not be able to afford no sex.
Oh, mhm.
You will end up losing that. So you really need to kind of find what I hate the word balance, but you really need to figure out what your priorities are, I guess would be a better thing. Because intimacy and sex is a priority in a relationship.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
necessary.
it's necessary. And if you have a health related condition that prevents it, this is different, but you can still have intimacy.
Absolutely.
You can
Like,
still have intimacy, yes, and closeness and things like that. But I
mhm,
think we've also been conditioned that, if I get close to you, if I touch you, that's going to mean it's on, and that's a scary thing. And, all of that stuff, which is because I got shit to do and I don't have time for this, which translates into I don't have time for you.
yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
exactly.
When people tell me they're too stressed, they have this, they've got the kids. Hey, I know what that's like. Like I have a kid. Like
I
I
have three.
exactly. I for the majority of my daughter's life, she's 17 now. I have been a single parent. Literally left baby daddy at 2 weeks.
Wow.
So I have done it on my own. I know that it's hard. I have grown up in poverty, and her and I grew up in poverty. I know that it's hard. Like I'm not here on this podcast like, oh, she makes a lot of money. Of course she can say that. No, I've lived that shitty life.
Yep.
But you have to start living within your values. And if you value your relationship, it's important to make space for those things instead of all the other things that really aren't important. People that continue to worry about their to-do list, all the stressors in their life, I say, why are you making space for misery? Because that's really what you're doing. You're on this treadmill that you never get off of. It is a perpetual list.
Mm-hmm.
You aren't inviting pleasure into your own freaking life. Do you honestly think there's space in the bedroom for pleasure? No,
No.
because you feel like you have to earn that space. And we don't
Yeah,
earn
it's like
rest.
a reward.
Yes, we don't earn rest when our list is done. We don't earn sex
No,
when
because we just put that other plate back up and start spinning it.
yes, you will never find that moment until
Listen,
you're
ladies,
burnt out.
as soon as your laundry is done, as soon as your laundry is all folded, you already have more waiting for you in the dirty clothes bin.
For
So
sure.
it is never done. It's never done.
Mm-hmm.
Housework is never done. Running the kids around, never done.
Right.
Like, I mean, that it just kind of changes, when your kids are little, they just need you differently than when they do when they're older. But then a lot of the stuff as my kids grew up, the stress of needing me, like legitimately needing me to make them food, to survive,
Right.
changed with more stress that I couldn't even control. Like,
Right.
when are they going to be home from work or from their friend's house? And are they safe? And are they okay? Like, that took up a lot of emotional space for me and caused a lot of stress. So it just kind of changes. Like, I can't do anything until I know what my kid's work schedule is, or I can't do anything until you put these cement shoes on and
Mm-hmm.
say, I can't do anything, which means sex or intimacy or anything, until I fill in the blank. And that list is endless. It is endless. And that puts us in that state of chronic stress that I was talking about with the cortisol before, stealing from your sex hormones. And now you've got a shitstorm internally that you really need to learn to manage, because that's not your partner's fault. That's your responsibility. It's nobody's fault. It becomes your responsibility to figure out, in my opinion. My internal stress is my responsibility. It's not my husband's. It's not his responsibility to take laundry off my plate so I feel less stressed. That's taking away a stressor. It's not taking away my internal stress response. So
we
it's
always
different.
hear about low desire for women, and we think about it like that's the problem, low desire. But low desire has so many factors to it.
It does.
And if you don't have positive anticipation for sex, you're going to have low desire. Like, these are necessary components of a desire. Is, I don't like going to the dentist. I genuinely don't like going to the dentist. I don't positively anticipate that. And I try to put it off as much as possible. Are you doing that with sex? You don't enjoy it. You don't want to make space for it. So you put it off as long as possible. Yes.
Well, and it's funny because the enjoyment part is twofold to me. I saw this TED talk once, and she was talking about how sometimes women have it backward. Like, they think they don't enjoy sex until they're having it. And they're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. I actually liked that. Remembering that you like sex, like, this is okay. This is desire. This is a break from everything else. Like, this is that, pushing all those internal chemicals to make you feel better, all of that, like reminding yourself that you do like sex and you do like this type of break. Now, it's different if you legitimately don't like your partner. Like, I don't like sex with my partner, or I don't like sex with my partner because we don't talk about sex. So he doesn't, or she doesn't even know what my needs are. I haven't communicated that effectively. So much of this to me is personal responsibility of self-care and communication and self-awareness, that drives this. But we like to point the finger outward. We like to point the finger at our kids or our husband or our boss, or we like to do that because it takes away our personal responsibility to actually focus on ourselves. And as moms, parents, and women, like, the messaging is give, and self-care is selfish.
Right.
But is it?
Or we only do it when, like, we need to fill the cup, because we're like, instead of making it something that's ongoing, it's more of like, I need to repair because I'm so tired. So I'll do a little self-care, and then, you just start the cycle all over again.
Yes. I look at that too, like relationships that need a little boost. And so I hear people say, well, we schedule a vacation once a year. And I'm like, well, 1 week together once a year isn't going to solve the world's problems, because they go and do that thing and they come back feeling refreshed, but we all know then that disappears. And, but if that's all you're doing, like, even, scheduling, I get a massage. Oh, I got a massage twice in a year. So I figured that was enough. I'm like, not even close.
Right.
I mean, self-care doesn't have to be outsourced. Self-care is internal, just taking minutes for yourself, breathing, stress relaxation, that kind of stuff, or exercise, just walking, getting outside. So it's important. But I think personal responsibility, when you feel like sex is a chore, you have to do some evaluating of your chore list.
Yeah.
And how you're planning on taking care of yourself to relieve yourself of the chore list, but really the chore list of self-care.
I think it's just, that continued battle of worthiness. You are worthy of a great sex life. You are worthy of a great relationship. You are not put on this earth to work until you die. And people think about work as something external, like you go to the office, but let's be honest, we're all working until we die within our homes. Stop letting life choose you and you choose your life. And, inviting more pleasure into your life. And I don't just mean sexually, but when you have your cup of coffee in the morning. Do you really enjoy it? Or are you just like drinking that
chugging
caffeine?
it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when
Slightly
you,
more awake.
yeah, when you wash your hair, are you using some, janky shampoo and conditioner? Or are you using some luxurious, something on your hair to show your body love and care?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's been something I've had to deal with, like not being, I don't know, afraid. That's not the right word, but worried about, spending too much money on hair products or frivolous things like that. If you I wash, this is day number 3. I need to wash it
I
tomorrow, but
clearly have not spent products on my hair today. So don't
honestly,
judge
a
me,
jug of shampoo and conditioner that's luxurious lasts me a very long time.
right?
So doing it isn't like gonna put you out so much, but it's this idea that you deserve to feel good.
Right.
And that's in multiple areas of your life, not just in the bedroom. So
Yeah, you are worthy of a juicy life. We talked about it on the episode about your juicy wish list.
right. So if you guys didn't catch that episode, go look at the sex resolution episode if you're
Yeah,
wanting to change it and establish a juicy wish list. So
right. Yeah, you are worthy of that life just for being you. You don't earn it. You don't earn rest. You don't earn sex. You don't create all of these
exchanges.
yeah, you are worthy of whatever it is that you want just for being you. um I am worthy of the $300 what perfume. Like that's luxury. Like I stop and I really take it in when I put my perfume on, because y'all, it's really friggin' expensive. But like I just really enjoy it. You are worthy of those things, and on whatever level that looks like for you.
Right.
If for you it's the luxury hair stuff. For me, there's a perfume, there's shoes. You don't even want to know how much I spend on that sort of shit. But like I do invite pleasure, I do invite luxury, I do invite sex into my life. Those are values of mine. Like having a really wonderful life, that's one of my key values. And those are the keys to that. So I make space for it. Y'all, I'm not a good cleaner. Like I don't do well. I don't cook unless I'm in the mood. And so I've given that facade of what I should be up, and I lean into what I really want for my life. And I ask you, to look at your to-do lists and say, is that what I really want for my life?
Right. Right. Well, and as a new empty nester now, I mean, we spend so much of our lives making sure everything is just so for our kids, for our home, and we don't have enough time or energy or whatever. Now, when you're an empty nester, like all you have is your relationship or the relationship with yourself, really. I mean, that's all you have. So if you avoided it for many years, and I've realized that I've avoided that for a very long time. It's time to make some changes for you and enjoy your life, and not to be morbid, but we only get this one time.
Mm-hmm.
And COVID and the pandemic taught us a lot of things about that one go around that we get.
Yeah.
So making sure that it's good, and you are working on being more refreshed. So sex isn't a chore,
Right.
it's a luxury.
Mm-hmm.
Makes you feel luxurious. So good
Yeah.
conversation. All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to the Feisty Aphrodite. Please make sure you subscribe to our podcast and share if you like the episode. Also, send us an email on what you'd like us to talk about, or if you'd like to just share if you have a question for us, send it there. It might end up on the podcast. Check us out on our YouTube channels. Everything will be in the show notes. And what were you going to say, Jess?
I was going to say, send us an email if there's a chore you gave up or outsourced or something.
Oh yeah.
That you invited into your life. We want to know like what you're getting from these things, and we love hearing from people about like some of the changes they're making in their lives.
Absolutely. All right. Take care till our next episode.